Evelyn, hello.
Hello, Mark. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I've already spoke about
Loving
how
this.
I've set up this background, and I spoke
Yeah.
about how you sort of inspired me to set up this background in the office here. So, what kind of things do you think about when you walk into like a space? If you walk into someone's office or wherever, what kind of things do you look at to try and make it look like a nice, neat background?
Love the question and really, really, really love the background now. I love what a great improvement. Thumbs up. So, what are we looking for? I'll be really honest. The first thing I look for is what I don't like.
Mhm.
What I don't like is when it's just white behind you, or just black, or too messy, or too. With men, often it's very corporate. It's very like there's nothing, and with women, we often have just too much clutter, and it can be a bit. It's interesting in it because the camera shot is so small. You want to look for what should be in there, and I want to see something that makes me feel good and that makes the video feel relevant. So you're a filmmaker. For you to have an old camera there
Yeah.
tells me you're a film buff and you know your stuff and you're actually really into this. So it's genius. The wooden, because you used a wooden box that has a cozy feeling, so I feel good and I kind of feel a bit loved. There's a bit of love and coziness in there, and the Chesterfield as well gives the love and the coziness. At the same time, there's a bit of class and a bit of tradition.
Yeah.
So you want to think about what the things that you have say about you, or just say what are they speaking of, and that's what we're looking for in the background. So if you look at my background today, I have the messy creative background on. So the desk is open. It shows you this woman is at work.
Yeah.
But you've got flowers, so she likes things pretty. There's gold because she likes blingy, a bit a bit glittery,
Yeah.
and a bit of white kitschy thing is it has a feminine touch. So you got to put these things together and they give you a good idea of Evelyn and how I do. Sometimes I like to be a bit more, there we go, that's a bit more neat. Like if I do more corporate style hacks, then I like this closed. So it's just thinking about what do you want to say in your video.
Yeah.
Well, your question was, what do I do with
So
other
when
people?
you walk into a room,
Yeah.
you said you don't really look for you look for what you don't like first, which I really
Yeah.
liked.
Yeah, because you have to exclude things. Yeah. So
Yeah.
most of the corners of the room you can exclude. And we were just talking about how we found this one corner of our room that we made perfect. Like I have this one shot here that's perfect. If I move my
Yeah,
camera,
I'll do the same at the same time. So
wow. So we're gonna see it's not gonna be so perfect anymore. Like there's my washing here. There's a sofa there. Everything else is just not as it's just not good enough. But there's one corner or one place where you can imagine creating a bit of a space for that one shot. I love that you put yours over a corner. It's really charming.
yeah, I like that it's across sort of two walls. So I said already in the video, but I've got like film posters of films I really like
Yeah.
in the background. So it's sort of about me, and it's also about like the videos and film side of things as well. So the old film projector and film camera.
Exactly, makes super sense. When I worked with Marcus Kauke, who is a sales trainer, and he always says, "People don't come for me for hugs and cuddles." He's very direct and he's a bit harsh. I put him in front of a shelf that was squared, used a lot of books, especially his own books, and made sure that colors were repeating. So the color of his shirt was white. So I wanted a lot of white in the background as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I used cacti. That's the plural of cactus. I hope everyone
Yeah,
knows that.
right.
Not them. Like, what's cacti? So I use cacti because they are a bit prickly, like he is.
Hmm.
But they are plants, so it gives you again a bit of a natural warm feeling. So it's I wouldn't use an orchid with Marcus Kauke. So it's not just have a plant. Think about what that person is like, what would fit with their personality,
Yeah.
and then also always add some warmth because video is a synthetic medium. It's not organic, so I think
Yeah.
it's important to add warmth.
So a lot of what I put into here, I sort of felt like I sort of wanted to invite people into like this room, so they feel like they're in the room with me, and it's cozy and it's comfortable, and they can sort of
Perfect.
sit and watch and listen. And I feel the same with like with your background; it very much reflects your personality as well. It's very much you. So I think, yeah, when you think about backgrounds, like you said that men sort of traditionally sort of do like blank backgrounds, very sort of corporate, very sort of nothing. And I've definitely done that before because I've got like three color backgrounds there, and I
Yeah.
alternated between black and white, which is
Yeah.
black background, like a blank background. So to have like this set up here, always set up, I think is really worthwhile to do that?
So one point is to have it reflect you. The other thought is to reflect your message and what you're doing. Now, you and
Yeah.
me are doing, we are quite personable, accessible people. If you are doing corporate work, let's say my message is about sustainability, then I don't necessarily want you to have the impression that you're in a personal space. Then you need to set it up more corporately. So then bookshelves with relevant books hint, hint, are important. And then we
Yeah.
might think about what kind of a bookshelf do you have and how much space do you have. So if it could be just bookshelf, it could be space and bookshelf. I was looking at somebody's video the other day who was talking about business and management and mindset, and it was on a sofa and he had plants and that was nice. But then there was a wine rack in the shot, and I pointed it out to him as I don't think you can have a wine rack in a video that talks about daytime business activities, because the wine rack says evening, I'm in my
Yeah.
personal space and I didn't look at what I was doing here. So be consistent with who you're talking to and what you're talking about. If you're talking about wines and not having wine in the background would be silly. So
Mm.
one
Yeah,
is
I
our
think
personality, two is the
that's a
message.
great way of thinking about it. Like, look at each thing that's in the background and think about, is it reflecting you? Is it reflecting your business? I think that's a
Yes.
good way of thinking about it.
And thirdly, and does it look good on camera?
Mm.
Remember when you and me shot at Marcus's office?
Yeah.
We shot at his office perimeter, and he has all these awards because he's an award-winning sales trainer. Great. So it makes sense to put the awards in there, so it gives credibility. But turns out, because they're made of glass and they're transparent, they just look rubbish on camera.
Yeah.
They reflect light and they just look like, I don't know.
And he has so much stuff on his walls that is like, we had to take loads down from the walls and move things around. And I think,
Yeah.
like, I've been struggling with doing stuff like in Marcus's office for a while, and then you come along and just sort of 10 minutes move stuff around and it looks brilliant. So yeah, just like to have that eye on it it really made a difference.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? So the point of that was to look for space. I was looking for, again, color consistency. So I used the books, lots of the books next to each other. So it's not too scrambled. So he has 20 books of the same title and we put them next to each other, and then the other books in the next, and again, featuring his book. We could see that the awards didn't work, so they had to go. Then we put a plant in to give some warmth. There's a white board as a background. So that really needs to be balanced out with something more personable.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was looking at, to create balance between warmth and efficiency, not too much clutter, but a little bit of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It was neat, wasn't it? Like, compared to usual sort of clutter everywhere. I think that was good.
Yeah. Thank
Cool.
you.